have our guest with us. She's a graduated summa cum laude from California State University in 1985. She has board certification in physical medicine and rehabilitation. She's on the cutting edge of non-surgical cosmetic medicine with a unique artistic inside-out approach to beauty, which allows her to consistently exceed her patients' expectations to look better and feel younger. On the topic of ageless beauty, healthy joints, and hyaluronic acid, it is my great pleasure to introduce to you my friend, Dr. Kelly O'Malley Mattone.
Hello, how are you?
Good to have you, Kelly. Nice chatting with you. I'm looking forward to this. So I want to take this time to kind of get to know you a little bit and talk about, the science behind the aging process. So I know you're a passionate advocate of hyaluronic acid, and specifically the ones you can ingest. And then you do a lot of different things from the outside in as well to keep people looking their best. So that's what I'd like to discuss with you here today. All right, so let's talk about hyaluronic acid. What is it? What does it do? And why should we have more of it in our lives?
Hyaluronic acid is actually your internal moisturizer, Alex. It sets the level of hydration in your body. It's actually a sugar molecule that is designed to, two molecules together, create a net-like effect, and it's kind of a gel, and it attracts water and hyaluronic acid. So any water that you ingest or any water that you store in your body, and we're 70% water, has to be linked with hyaluronic acid. That is the only way that water can be in your body, is through hyaluronic acid. And it's so absorbent. Just a little quarter of a teaspoon of hyaluronic acid will absorb 1.5 gallons of water. And that's fine to have the water. But then what do you do with it? Your body has to store it. The first place that hyaluronic acid stores water is in your collagen. So we're 90% collagen. It makes up our infrastructure, and collagen's a really strong molecule, but we have to bend and we have to twist and we have to have compressive forces against us. That's where hyaluronic acid comes in, and it makes collagen into more spongy and flexible, strong. I mean, it's stronger than steel gram for gram and has a higher tensile strength than steel, but hyaluronic acid gives collagen what it needs to be hydrated and to be functional.
Excellent. And we have plenty of it as we're babies, right? Like when we're those pudgy little babies you described.
Yes, you're born with the most you'll ever have. And actually you have more when you are in as a fetus than you do as a baby. Let's face it, the amniotic fluid that you swim in and you breathe in is hyaluronic acid. The umbilical cord is made of hyaluronic acid. Nourishment is going back and forth between you and the mother through a hyaluronic acid highway. Once you're born, you have about 90% hyaluronic acid, which is huge. By the time you're 1, your hyaluronic acid is already below 80. So every day from the day you're born until the day you die, you gradually lose water. We start out as this hydrated super being, and over time, all living things. I mean, you look at a grape, it becomes a raisin. You look at a cucumber, it becomes a pickle. Living things are made of water, and without water, we can't even have life to begin with. And we lose it as we go along.
So right now, there's a lot of money being invested into longevity science. Mm-hmm. And this is for the first time in human history that we have the resources, the science, and the interest to actually pursue longevity as a science. Mm-hmm. So I think for the most part, we kind of separated beauty from health, from sickness, from medical care. Like they're all separate entities. Like you develop some kind of a chronic illness, you go to the doctor, or you go to the hospital emergency room. If you want to look younger, you go to an aesthetic physician. If you want to, so all that. But now there's a whole arena of medicine being evolved by people like Dr. David Sinclair. He wrote a book, Lifespan. Mm-hmm. Very popular book. And one of the things he talks about is that, right up until this moment, pretty much, the only way you could die, be classified a death, is from some kind of a disease. So on your death certificate, it has to state that you died from cancer, or you died from diabetic complications, or whatever it might be. So for the first time, they're actually changing that from what I read in this book, changing that, and it's good. You can actually die from old age.
How do you like that?
Old age.
I hope my old age is 118. Like
Well,
that woman in France.
so here's the thing: if we can actually die from old age, then all of these entities and all these companies and all the pharmaceutical industries can start focusing on old age as a chronic condition that can be addressed, cured, managed, something. And so, aesthetics is important. We want to look our best, I think, all of our lives, but it's also important that it comes from like a glowing inner health and well-being, And I love this. I don't know how you even came up with this compilation. I mean, you were trained as a medical doctor. Medical doctors do medical things. And you decided, okay, I want to do this particular thing, which is non-invasive. It's gentle. And then you found this supplement company, hyaluronic acid. You started doing that. Just you're such an interesting person and doctor for me.
And for me, I always just say I'm just this little girl from Queens. So, but I was, Alex, from the time I can remember, my mother was always anti-aging. Anything. I mean, there were creams and lotions and she was telling me, stop making those faces. You're going to get wrinkles. You want to look like an old lady by the time you're 30? Stop it. And everything's different. She would always say, when you get older, you're going to be a doctor. I hope you're a famous doctor and you find me the fountain of youth.
Well, so the fountain of youth is what? We spoke about liposomal glutathione. I think that's a piece. Mm-hmm. We spoke about hyaluronic acid. I think that's a piece. I mean, ultimately, like from my non-professional perspective, you have a cell, it has some basic demands, and it multiplies, it duplicates itself on a regular basis, just continues to do that. And what it needs is the resources necessary for the one cell to create a new healthy baby cell.
Exactly.
Like when a mother makes a child, she needs a lot of different resources to make that child. And I think the same thing with our little cells. If they can be replicated in the most healthy kind of way, I mean, technically we can live to be over 100 and be healthy, youthful. And I met people like this, so it's not like
oh, absolutely. Every day you see in the paper who's 100, what's your story? Most of them say they drink.
Right. Well, like Jean-Louise Carmen, that woman lived to be 122, and she drank and smoked cigarettes, but she's like a super aberration. There was Gene Scala who lived on Long Island in Syosset, and I met him when he was 105. Little Italian man, he made his own clothes, played the saxophone, was a hairdresser in his career. He goes, so I called him up. I said, Gene, I want to feature you in my magazine. Oh, he had this Italian accent. Oh, Alex, you have to talk to my niece. I said, okay. So I spoke with her, and she said, okay, you're going to meet him at a bowling alley in Smithtown. He bowls every Wednesday.
At 105 years old.
At 105, when I met him, he was bowling every Wednesday. He looked well. He didn't look like his skin was like, he had great skin, I thought, for a 105-year-old guy, amazing. And he was sharp as a tack. Because I go, like I was asking him questions. He fired off a phone number to me and like from his mind. I was astonished.
Yeah, because we have to look at our phones and see what that number is.
Now you have all that. I didn't remember, like, you know what I mean? I don't even know, like, remember my own phone number. Like, I don't need, everything's here. Unless it goes dead, then I don't know nothing. But so, yeah. So what I'm saying is that longevity as a concept is exciting, but it's also very practical, that we can live longer, healthier lives and reinvent ourselves from one decade to the next.
Absolutely.
We don't have to necessarily spend the last 10, 20 years of our life dependent on some agency that feeds us through a straw. So I think if we can figure out how to avoid that by focusing on figuring out how to avoid that, I think it'll be a good investment of time.
Yeah, and we each doctor has a specialty, and we look at our specialty as the one that does it. It's a combination of everything, but you pick your focus, and you have to kind of stay in that lane, but be open to what everyone else has to say, because we don't exist in a bubble. We're not just water, although we are a lot of water.
Well, even our bones are like 70% water, which I found interesting.
Your bones are about 30%. What's
But
interesting, your brain is about 85%. Your lungs are 83% water. I mean, and it makes sense. Listen, we were living in a bubble of water for 9 months before we were born. Everything that we have is hydrated or should be hydrated, and you start to lose that, and everything kind of just shrinks and doesn't function optimally. It doesn't give you the chance to have other things in your body working as well.
Yeah, when I first started doing these conferences, one of the first things I thought was that, our water has to be addressed. Like you have to drink the best quality water, and you have to bathe in the best quality water, because your skin is like a sponge. It absorbs all the toxicity from like tap water. And Long Island is notorious for having these pools of toxicity that nobody wants to talk about. Every once in a while, you see in the newspaper, like Grumman was in Suffolk someplace, there. And it had like this moving pool of chemicals that they left around. Yeah, and it seeps into the aquifers, and then they suck it up.
Groundwater, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think if people don't filter their water with a filter, they're going to filter it with their liver. And I think that puts a tremendous amount of burden on the human body, and it ages it quicker. So that's one of the things I think is important. I mean, if we're made of water, we should like have access to the cleanest water possible. And I think they can save people a lot of unnecessary trouble.
Well, the thing about water as well, Alex, is that you need to have a sponge. Once you drink it, you have to have a sponge to absorb it. And that's what hyaluronic acid does. It's a sponge. So if you are missing a good level of hyaluronic acid, you could still drink a gallon of water and still be dehydrated if you're not able to absorb it. That's so oxymoronic for so many people. Like, how could that possibly be? Just as we said, that our okay, so our bones and our muscle are made of water. What's the natural progression? Everyone says, oh my God, my bones have thinned out, right? Women get osteoporosis, osteopenia. We all get sarcopenia where our muscles thin out. So if 80% of your muscle is water and you lose muscle, what does that mean? That your actual level net loss of water as you lose your muscle, net loss of water as you lose your bone. Your eyes are complete water behind it. That's hyaluronic acid. That's actually how they found out about hyaluronic acid was in the eye. And so why does your vision change? Because your insides dry up. If a fine motor is moving, oil-based, but obviously this is a water-based, if it's lubricated, it just can go forever. If we don't have the lubrication, and that's where hyaluronic acid comes into every part of our body, we could start to get stiff. You don't have the lubrication that you need.
Right. So hyaluronic acid, you can supplement with it, but can you test for it?
There are levels. I mean, it's not a routine thing. You're not going to go, and say, hey, check my hyaluronic acid levels. But they are, studies are done and they check to see what your hyaluronic acid levels are. In certain diseases, like the disease of children I've spoken to you about, they lose hyaluronic acid. It's in the urine. It's measurable, 100% measurable. And every day your body naturally turns over 30%. It's called remodeling and replenishing, that our body will break it down and make more, break it down and make more, but it's a vicious cycle.
So what is the better environment for the body to manufacture hyaluronic acid and all the other things it needs to function at its best? You're not a big proponent of like super healthy, like you're not a strict advocate of eating your best.
Not for myself. I know where you're going with that, Alex. No, you
like to enjoy your food and snacks to an extent, but you're not, you don't go overboard. You know how to, you've been doing it in the way that works for you.
Yeah, well, you know what? Sometimes I go overboard and then I'll go the other way. So I balance it out. I know, but Cat James would shoot me for the sugar that I eat, although I try not to have too much of that. But I like what I like, Yeah. I'll go exercise it off.
I hear it. My mother.
Did the doctor just say that? Oh, that's terrible. Listen, I'm normal. I'm faulty. I can't, Yeah. But I make sure I get my hyaluronic and collagen in every day.
Well, my mother is funny like that. She's 20 years older than I am, so she's going to be 75 this year. And this woman is she will do these ridiculous diets. Like she sometimes she used to subsist on cigarettes, vodka, and coffee. That was her thing. And then she gained some weight because she was eating. She also likes cake. But then she decided, I'm only going to eat, this particular like a kasha thing. And so nothing, no meat, no butter, no nothing. So she became like a little thin teenager looking chick. Mm-hmm. But she has these very, like, she'll go from one extreme to the other. And she won't listen to me ever about anything, but it's interesting how we do that, and we all have our vices, I suppose, but as long as we don't go like super crazy with them, I guess.
Exactly. I mean, I like a good steak.
Well, I don't actually. I mean, there's a whole thing now about steak. It's good.
It's excellent for you, especially grass-fed beef. It has
I buy
body need. We don't make the essential fatty acids that our body needs. We have to get them from somewhere else.
Well, I was diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis almost 20 years ago now. So I've tried every kind of diet you can imagine. And I went through that vegan phase and the fasting phase. I went to every kind of thing you can imagine. And that just was annoying to me. I think, ultimately you have to, I think it's all the grain that we're eating, and it's not even the grain, it's the way it's been transformed and genetically modified and sprayed with different chemicals. And so our bread, the way it is now, is not the same bread that they ate in the 1800s.
Right.
The way they bake it, the way they strip all the nutrition out of the seed, and then they spray it with the chemical. So there's a lot of different ways our food is altered. I mean, if you travel anywhere out of the country, you go to Italy or something, I mean, the food there is just spectacular. And they don't like skimp on anything. They got their gelato, they got their coffee, they got their cappuccino, they got their espresso, they got everything, the bread, and they pasta, they eat it all, pizza. But you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who's overweight,
right,
or who isn't dressed impeccably, right? I mean,
it's very true.
Anywhere you go, like a little town in the middle of nowhere, a little coffee shop, guys come out with their suits and fantastic, beautiful to watch. Molto bene. The Italians know how to do it.
Yes, they do. Unfortunately, when I was in Italy, I was sick from, I was on a ship, and I was seasick, and then I had food poisoning as well, and it was not a good time.
That's so terrible. The whole time
go back. Just have to go back.
Well, when the first time I was there was we immigrated from Russia. So I was there as a child. I was at these big markets selling trinkets, the matryoshkas, those little nesting dolls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we had a bunch of those. We had a bunch of those. So I'd be standing as a 10-year-old, and I'd be like, I already got some Italian down, the hand gestures.
Oh, I'm sure you did. I'm sure you made just like the Italians do, Alex.
I was the king of sales. And then more recently we went back to Amalfi Coast, and that was just the most spectacular experience of my life. And so the health situation in the United States is truly it's an abomination. And I can't really, I have my theories about how we got here, but I can't I can't really understand it. Like, we're at this point, they're actually promoting obesity because we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So now they're putting obese people. I don't know if you saw these dancers in the middle of a halftime at one of the big football games. They have these obese women in these tight outfits dancing and jiggling. I've never seen anything quite like it. And now magazine covers are doing this stuff. So we're celebrating obesity because we don't know how else to deal with it. And that is a frightening concept because you have all these young people, children, who are 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight as teenagers. I mean, where's that going to take them?
No, it's not a healthy lifestyle at all. And a lot of most medical problems that we have are arising from obesity. That it just wreaks havoc completely on the whole entire body.
Right. So nobody really talks about it because there's so much profit in manufacturing the food that makes you obese. And then there's even more profit in managing the diseases caused by the food that causes the obesity and all the chronic problems that come along with it. And so, there's no counterbalance. If there was us who had a platform on a larger scale where we can counterbalance some of this and actually teach people how to put some perimeters around their life and their nutrition and their philosophy, because ultimately it's a philosophical concept that drives people's actions. So if you believe that, I can eat, I only live once and I may die tomorrow, it might be a nuclear or whatever, like the way people think, I can eat this cake, I don't care. So, I mean, if you're nihilistic like that, then you're going to deal with the consequences of it. So I think the mindset is crucially important. And then you need somebody like by your side to kind of guide you around all these pitfalls that have been created that are so profitable today.
And people are looking for a pill. They want someone else to do something, give them something to undo everything that they did. That's really where the tragedy comes in.
Well, that's not by accident, because we as a kid, I grew up here watching cartoons and all the other Gilligan's Island and all that. So I've watched a quadrillion commercials of, you have this issue. It starts off in black and white. You have this cold and you're not feeling well. Take the sneezy, sleepy, stuffy head fever.
Yes.
How do you spell relief, like all of that? So I mean, you begin to associate that, right? That you can solve your problem in 30 seconds by taking something over the counter, and that's it. Every time you're like, I have a cousin, she's like a walking pharmacy. She's got this big bag, and you have a headache? I got this pill for you. Oh no, thanks, I'm good. I'll be fine. But so that's the problem, that we have this mentality that, I mean, even like there's a law that says only a drug can cure or prevent a disease. You can't say that the vitamin C can cure or prevent a disease, even though it can, scurvy.
Right. Exactly.
But you can't say, legally, you can only say that about a drug. So the infrastructure, the context, all the surreptitious interconnecting relationships between the government and the pharmaceutical and the medical and all that. So it's a big issue, and we're paying a price for it in finances and in our health and well-being and our longevity. I think this is the first time in like forever that our longevity started going backwards.
Yeah, that's scary.
For the last 2 years. So COVID played a part, but I think ultimately it's the obesity epidemic that is causing all the damage. All right, very good. So hyaluronic acid, right? Important. And you have a product that you recommend that you take it orally, right? It's a yes. liquid supplement, and it replenishes hyaluronic acid in the body. You've been taking it for a long time, over 10 years.
I've been taking it probably since 2014. The end of 2013, I was introduced to it and started taking it in 2014. And at the time, I had found out about it. I just had an accident and tore all the ligaments in both of my hips, and I was in a world of pain. Couldn't sit. The only comfortable position I had was standing up against the wall. Even lying down, I would have electric shooting pains on my back. And I called up the doctor who introduced me to this product, and it was introduced to me because of what it can do for the face and the skin. But I knew that there was a joint component, and I said, how would this help my joints? And the doctor said to me, drink a bottle in a day. There's no toxicity. You can drink 33 times a normal dose, and let me know how you feel. Now, it's not a pain medication, but it started to bathe. I mean, I was taking so much collagen and hyaluronic acid that was highly absorbable. And I have to say that within 2 days, about 65% of what I was feeling was gone. And your body kind of heals itself. And so over the next 6 to 8 weeks, as I was starting to feel slightly better, I said to myself, wow, is it the product that I'm taking, or is it me? And I wouldn't take anything else. I was not on anti-inflammatory medications. I take Mariva, which is an all-natural supplement. I don't believe in Advils and all that. They do more damage than the good they are. And so I stopped taking the product, and I realized how badly I felt. Actually, I didn't realize. One of the women in my office said to me, "Doc, what's wrong with you? You're limping again, and I'm watching you get up and out of a chair, and you can't do it." And I said, "Well, I stopped the liquid collagen." And she looked at me, she goes, "Why would you do that?" And I said, "Well, I'm a scientist. I wanted to know if it works or doesn't work." And she says, "Yes, it works." So I continue to take, and I said, "No, I'm not going to stop. I'll keep going." And another couple of months, I'm taking it. I'm still, in a lot of pain. But I said, let me just see what happens when I stopped it. Other people said to me, "Did you fall again? Did somebody hit you? What happened to you?" And I said, "I stopped the liquid collagen hyaluronic acid." And they said, "Why would you do that?" And I said, "I'm a scientist. We do double-blinded studies. I was double-blind and now I see. I will never, ever stop taking that, ever." My children have been taking it. It's just, my mom was bedridden for about 10 years. She had arthritis in her hips and her back so badly. And it took 3 years for me to convince her to take this. And the only way I did was she fell and broke her pelvis and wound up in the hospital. And I said, "Okay." I said, "You know what?" I had the doctor prescribe it, and I brought it in. And in 3 weeks, my mother was walking with a walker and a broken pelvis, where she was so deconditioned from being in bed for 10 years prior. And she never actually went back and spent a full day in bed. We had to get an aid for her. And my mother was ambulatory for the last 7 or 8 years of her life. I mean, I was able to help her have a quality of life. And there's one version has some things that really increase your mental focus. And she was on that one too. And she became a little more sharp, I have to say, and no pain medications for her either. So, and I had so many stories about people who just had so much discomfort and no ease of movement and walking. Not even, it's great for lines and wrinkles on your face, but when you're helping people's joints, that they could do things that they couldn't do before. And I'm prime example of that.
So I've seen how it affects the wrinkles on the face.
Mm-hmm.
And, I understand that, smokers, if you've ever been around smokers, the whole thing, and like their face becomes very wrinkly. So the smoke and the nicotine, I guess, affect the body in such a way that you become very wrinkly and you become very depleted of the necessary water that keeps you plump and youthful looking. So just like smoke and nicotine can damage the skin and I guess all the internal organs, hyaluronic is the antithesis to that kind of thing.
Absolutely. And you age from the outside and from the inside, and smoking is one of those extrinsic. Yes, once you have, the smoke is inside of you and the nicotine, that's working against you from the inside. But just from the outside, just the smoke alone, it destroys your skin. It zaps all the water from it. It creates such a bad environment. You wind up with free radicals, breaking down your own collagen. There are certain things that you could avoid, certainly like the sun. Okay, in my profession, people come, "Oh, I have spots on my face. I have all this." And I said, "Well, do you wear sunblock?" And they look at me like, "I don't go in the sun." Like, what do you mean you don't go? That is the single most important thing that you could do to prevent aging. And people just don't get it. That just blows me away. But
yeah, no, I hear you. So let's take a moment and talk a little bit about you, if we could. Sure. So your mom, you're one of how many?
I'm one of 5.
One of 5.
Mm-hmm.
And your siblings are?
I have two brothers and 2 sisters. I'm number 4 on the line.
Okay. And everybody's in medicine? What are they all doing?
Oh, no. Alex, I do not come from a medical family whatsoever. I mean, we're a blue collar family all the way. My sister happens to be a doctor because at the age of 35, she was looking, going, "What am I supposed to do with my life?" And I said, "Well, you're in school." I said, come become a doctor. In 10 years, you're going to be 45. You want to be a doctor in 45, or you want to be 45 and be whatever else it's going to be. So it was an intellectual pursuit for her. But no, we don't come from doctors at all.
What did your
people?
What did your parents do?
So my dad was a soil analyst for Belmont Racetrack and Aqueduct Racetrack.
Soil analyst? Did you
Soil
know?
So believe it or not, the track has dirt in it, obviously, but it's not just dirt. There's different things in it. My father would test the soil every day, see what was in it. There are fast tracks, there are slow tracks. So he would be in touch with the jockeys to let them know what kind of soil that they would be running on that day, which was very interesting.
Who would think that's even a thing? Oh my goodness! Wow.
It's a science, Alex. Horse racing is not just the betting, but the racing.
Well, I get the horses and how you feed the horses, and you give them hyaluronic acid so they run faster.
Actually, we do have an equine version, and American Pharaoh, who won the Triple Crown a few years ago, from what I understand, is on the equine version of our liquid biofacel. But mom was denied an education. She was finishing high school in 1948, and she was accepted to Parsons School of Design. And that was a big thing. My mother was so talented in the fashion world. And when she got accepted to it based on her merit, and they said to her, well, Miss Belviso, how do you plan on paying for your education? Because they knew that her mother was a factory worker. My grandmother worked in the sewing mills in the city, and my grandfather was dead. So there was this Italian woman raising all of these children. My mother was the youngest of 12. And when she said she was going to work and go to school, they said, no, you're not. No, thank you. So she was denied an education, and she made it her mission to let us know you can do anything you want, and there is nothing that's going to stop you. So she was just one of those, when a door is closed in your face, she's going to open it for everyone around her. And I was the little sponge of her. And it was my mom who actually said to me, it was 1967, Alex. And I remember sitting in the kitchen saying to my mom, in 1967, little girls became nurses, little boys became doctors. So I was so proud of myself, saying, my girlfriends are out in the street writing their names. And here I am telling my mom, I want to be a nurse when I grow up. And my mother looked at me, she goes, and why wouldn't you want to be the doctor? And I went, oh, I don't know, because on TV, the nurses were girls, and they married the doctors who were boys. And so from the time I was 7 years old, I would walk around saying, oh, I'm going to be a doctor, which was much better because my mother was a cocktail waitress for the Mets when I was younger. And when I was 5, people said, what are you going to be when you grow up? And I got a cocktail waitress. So, for my mom to say, oh, no, my daughter's going to be a doctor, not a cocktail waitress.
Well, I think
always,
with all due respect, I think you would have made an excellent,
Thank you. Yeah. Whatever it is I'm going to do, Alex, I'm going to do to the nth degree.
I believe it.
That's just the personality. My mother was just the jack of all trades, master of every single one of them. I mean, I look and I go, oh my God, I'm nothing compared to what my mother could do. But she gave me the motivation and the oomph to say, go and do it.
Well, I grew up in a different world, Soviet Union. So it's very, very different, but I'm kind of nostalgic about the United States in the 50s and 60s. It feels like a much more innocent time. I mean, your mother was one of 12?
Yes.
Raised here?
Mm-hmm.
Right. You said on Long Island here.
No. She was East New York, New Jersey. She started out in Brooklyn, and then they went, then I think her mom moved to East New York in New Jersey, but no, Brooklyn.
I mean, who would imagine raising so many children today? People are like freaking out. How am I going to raise one or two, be able to afford all that? And but somehow they did it back in the day. They weren't even like on the farms. They just put everybody like a one.
No, you know what? One raised the other one raised the other one. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, I mean,
my dad was from 7. My former husband was from 7. His father was from 9. We do things big. It's a fun time to have that much family around you. I have 4. People look at me and go, "Oh my God, 4 kids." I'm like, "Oh, I wanted 6, so 4 is downgrade for me, but it's all good."
You yourself wanted 6, yeah?
At least 5, if not 6.
Yeah, like how do you as a doctor? Like all the different responsibilities and the pressures that they put on you guys, especially when you were in that system, to make babies. That's like, how do you even do that?
I had 2 of them during my residency.
Yeah, of course you did.
And actually having babies is what changed my career. I was scheduled to be a surgeon. I had a 5-year general surgery spot outside the match. It was guaranteed to me. And I had gotten engaged when I was in medical. I was an older student. Most kids graduate from medical school. I think they're like 24, 25. I was 30 when I graduated from school and engaged and ready to have children. I mean, I was already behind the 8 ball. And when are you going to have 6 kids? When you're 45? So I told my my chief surgeon, what my plans were. And he goes, "Oh, no, you're not." He said, "You are not having children in my OR. You will not be pregnant for 7 years." And I went, "Oh, what are we going to do with this?" So he sent me to go talk to all these female surgeons, especially the ones with a lot of children. And it was, how much time one woman had 4 children. "Oh, well, how much time do you spend with your children?" "Well, they're not up by the time you leave for work. And sometimes they're up when you come home." And I went, "Thank you very much." So I chose children over a surgical career.
I feel like that's way too much pressure on women today, that they're pulled out of the house, away from their children, and who raises these people? I'm old-fashioned like that. I wish we can go back to a time. I mean, fine, women's place is everywhere. I'm all down with that. But if a mom can be with her children and then find time to do whatever it is that she wants to do with her, I just think that's a better, like, look at our society, man. Look at all these crazy people doing all kinds of crazy things on the streets. Yeah. Mothers clearly did not have enough time to influence them with their own, unless the mothers are crazy also. So I don't even know what's happening.
You know what? I saw my mother do it all. I saw my mother do it all. And I thought, I can do it all too. You can't do it all at one time. After my 4th child was born in 1999, I retired. I had said to my husband, "Listen, if we don't need my income, I'm not doing what I was set out to do. And I would rather stay home with my children." And, he was all for it. He's like, "Great, if that's what you want to do." And that lasted for less than a year. My sister's emergency room doctor wanted to get out of the ER. And I said, "Oh, well, let's figure out what it is that you can do." And didn't I just get sucked right into that, which, God has other plans for you. And groomed my whole entire life for what I do. So I'm happy about it, but this is not how I pictured myself being.
But I think it's good now that you're,
absolutely.
You have something to be busy with, something you love, something you're focused on. You got your daughter working with you. So I think that's just an amazing kind of thing. But, like at this point in our life, it's great to have the freedom to actually create something. But I just think for a mom to be with her children, there's nothing more beautiful, there's nothing more important. And it's been diminished in our society that, like, you got to go get a profession, you got to get your degree. 30 years old, you don't need to make babies, you need to focus on your career. Like, what? Put on your heels and go to the city and work for some corporate. Like, well, come on.
Yeah.
Because I have a problem in my circles. Like, I have a lot of these nieces and these girls that are like already in their 30s, and they're all professional, successful, educated, and the diplomas, but no husbands. So
well, there's slim pickings out there, Alex. Number one.
Slim pickings of men?
Yes, it's very. I
don't think so. There's a lot of men out there. A lot of them. So many. So everywhere you go, there they are.
Well, women have also been told, go become independent, be your own person, and we like that. The world has changed. We're not a traditional nuclear family the way we were, and those of us who were raised that way would clamor for that any day of the week.
You clamor for the
Sunday dinners. Stay home and have Sunday dinner. I'm like, wow, how lovely is that? Sunday in an Italian household, I can't tell you, the door was just open. Who came, who went, setting up chairs and tables everywhere.
The grandmother's rolling something.
Yes,
on the table
absolutely rolling something.
Yeah, no, that is the most beautiful thing. Unfortunately, we're now sitting in front of Netflix and we're all separate. It's crazy. But yeah, so okay, so you're a mommy of 4 children. You have your 4 kids. You have what, 2 boys and 2 girls? Is that?
I have 1 girl and 3 boys.
1 boy, 1 girl.
My 3 sons.
What is it?
My 3 sons. Remember that TV show?
Yes, I do. Yeah. And they're all doing well. They're all pursuing things. That anybody in the medical?
No, that is just not happening.
Nobody wants to do medical except you.
No, thought my youngest son, when he was younger, would want to be one, and he said no. And then my middle guy, in college, said to me, Mom, thinking maybe pre-med. I'm like, I thought you were in finance. And he goes, yeah, but I just find it very interesting. I said, okay, so go take a chemistry course. And he looked at me and goes, yeah, I'm going to stick to finance.
No, finance, I mean, you can actually make some money in finance. In medicine, I think it's becoming hard and hard, especially if you're in that system. I mean, you were fortunate and I guess wise enough to see the writing on the walls and decide to open your own free market type of a boutique. I mean, there's not a lot of that.
No, and I have to tell you, I almost sold my practice a few years ago to a big derm group, and we were 15 minutes away from closing. And I do a couple of things on the side, and they didn't know exactly how to handle it. And I just said, all right, that's God's sign of I shouldn't be doing this. And here I am. I'm a dying breed of solo private practitioner. Yes, there are solo, practices. There are private practices, but a lot of them have multiple doctors in them. It's just me, and I like it that way.
Yeah, no, I think it's beautiful. It's personable. Your office is just such a pleasure to be in. I mean, you kind of it's you just in the office space. Just
exactly.
Elegant and beautiful and very.
Yeah, it doesn't look like typical office.
Lighting. It's really not very lovely. And it's very unfortunate. Like, I think the North Shore Hospital owns everything and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere I drive through Long Island, it's another building. Like, how many sick people do we have or preparing for? Is there a pandemic of some kind that I don't know?
Not even on the North Shore, it's NYU Health System. Even Mount Sinai Health System is out on Northern Boulevard in Great Neck. There's Mount Sinai Hospital doctors there. So it's all just big conglomerates. And that's because of lobby.
I'm so not interested in that. And, I'm 55 now. And however long the good Lord gives me, I'm going to do my best to stay out of these bureaucracies. And so that's why I'm designing a system where I meet with my nurse practitioner once a week. We go over all my numbers. Like I want everything optimized. My testosterone, my vitamin D level, all my bugs in my digestive system, remove all the heavy metals. I want everything out. So if I plan to be, let's say 100, whatever it is, but whatever it is, I want to be like busy doing stuff. My doctor, Dr. Mitchell Kirk,
mm-hmm.
Did I tell you about him?
Mm-hmm.
So Dr. Kirk, he's I know him from probably my first expo, so about 20 years I know him.
Mm-hmm.
Right now he's in his 90s, works a full schedule. I went to his office today. We did an interview because I'm doing some stuff with him. He wrote a book on longevity, and his story is that he got his medical DO license in 1960. And then his wife was diagnosed with a brain tumor. So he started traveling the world to all of these alternative clinics and longevity clinics and started studying with all these different people. So he tried every kind of thing to help his wife figure it out. But, it was a little too late for her. But he became this remarkable longevity expert. And he is the embodiment of longevity. You go see him, he works a full schedule, sharp as a tack. Alex, what's the gossip, Alex? What's going on?
I love that.
He's a beautiful soul, just a beautiful soul. And that, like you, he's like one of a handful of doctors. Even before COVID, there was at least more. Dr. Rick Lynch's, Dr. Jonathan Dashev, there was a few, there wasn't too many. But now it's just nothing. So the only option we have is to go into these big, you're like a nameless number in this big corporation that couldn't care less about you. They ship doctors like, you got this doctor or that doctor.
You know what I find the worst about that is that there's one central number. You could never call the office of where your doctor actually is. You get this calling center and they'll just put you somewhere else.
It's so they turned it into this machine. It's so impersonal, it's so cold, and it totally doesn't fit my personality or interest. but I adore doctors like you. But I just think it takes so much courage, and I don't know what it takes. Well, maybe you can tell. What does it take from your side to do what you're doing?
Maybe a little lunacy. I don't know.
You got to be a little Michigan, a little crazy.
Yeah, a little Michigan in the head. Absolutely. For me, it was the freedom to be able to do what I wanted to do, to spend time, as much time as I wanted with patients. I book as many patients as I want to see. I'm not a mill. You come in, my procedures, some of them take 5 minutes. You're in my office for about 40 minutes. We're talking about your life, but about your kids and about just life in general. That's the old-fashioned relationship. And I never want to have to give that up.
But I think that in of itself is healing.
Yes.
Like when you have that kind of relationship with somebody, like I'll give you an example. Like I wasn't going to go for a colonoscopy because my wife was like, "You got to go for a colonoscopy over 50." I said, "I'm not going. I don't like these people. I don't want them poking me and putting me under. I just don't want to do that." And so I was adamant that I don't want to do it. But then my nurse practitioner, she actually worked in a cancer ward for like 5 years. She goes, "Alex, you should get a colonoscopy." I'm like, "Well, I don't want to do it." She goes, "Alex, I worked in the cancer ward, and my brother recently passed away from colon cancer." So she goes, "Your brother passed away?" So I said, "Okay, fine." And I went because I had this relationship with somebody I liked, I trusted, and I know that she has my best interest at heart. Otherwise, you walk into these places and you don't trust half the stuff they tell you anyway. I don't, 90% of the stuff.
Well, they don't have the time to tell you what it is you should know anyway.
Well, I went, this doctor, he was working for a hospital system, and then he decided he had enough. So he opened this little office doing aesthetic stuff in the city. And this was a few years back. They called me and they wanted me to market their center. So I went to the city. I was in the waiting room. They called me into this doctor's office. I may have told you this. And the doctor was sitting facing his computer, and I was sitting on the side here, facing his computer. He goes, "Okay, tell me what it is that you do." I said, "Seriously? Like, you're going to look at your computer and I'm going to talk to you about something?" Unbelievable. But that's how they interact with their patients. Mm-hmm. And I just think that is just so bizarre. So I think what I love about America is that it allows for better ideas to evolve and hopefully replace those. So you have the medical system that's focused on disease management. Mm-hmm. If we can have a system that may be less conspicuous, where you don't have buildings and things, but you have a relationship, like my nurse practitioner once a week virtually meets with me. If we can have like this kind of undercurrent of mm-hmm. human optimization, and then access all the products and the services and the supplements and nutritional philosophical ideas and all the world experts and the scientists and the compounding pharmacies and everybody else, so that your body is optimized on a regular basis and you have information from people that actually are focused on your longevity and optimal function. And I just, for myself, for my family, for my friends, that's what I want. And we one of my nurses we got somebody pregnant, like on the other side of the country. This woman couldn't had problems conceiving, and she just told me like yesterday, and we got this woman to conceive, and I had something to do with it indirectly. How fantastic is that?
Do I hear a child named Alex in 8 and 9 months?
Well, I'm a little bit far removed from that, but still, that's a mitzvah. So.
It is. Well, you know what? It's because their health is optimal. Their bodies are functioning that way because of looking at the good, not waiting for it to break down and go, "Oh, what can we do to fix that?" Let's keep you healthy before you break down. I think that your philosophy is just amazing. I'm always so I don't even know what the word is, Alex. You the vision that you've had, I've known you for 20 years, is just incredible. And hopefully it'll catch on in our lifetime, but if not, we're laying the foundation for other people to come. And I will always help you with whatever endeavors you're doing, because we have the same kind of philosophy. You just happen to be a little bit more vocal about it and do it more than I am. But I think what you do is brilliant.
Thank you, my friend. I would love to have like your wisdom passed down to 1,000 nurse practitioners around the country, so we can get these people aesthetically beautiful from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
And then train like Josh Rosenthal with his unique approaches in optimization, and like really get the top doctors to teach these nurse practitioners and have these centers around the country where we're actually having like old-fashioned relationships. And so it doesn't have to be that ridiculously expensive where you go see a top-end physician who's got a grand name, they work for a top institution, and they cost like a fortune, nobody can afford them. But the information is the information. And as long as you have somebody who cares about you and knows you, yes, like literally from the inside out, then I think there's a much better chance of circumventing all these.
And has the time to spend with you to know what your lifestyle is. I spend a lot of time with my patients, what are you doing? What do you need? What is your concern with what you have to do in your life? And that's how we work it.
How do you find people react to your attempts to transform their habits to get them to reach their goals? Are they amicable, or they give you a hard time about everything?
When I see patients, I come up with immediate goals. What can we do today, tomorrow? And then how do you envision what you want to be when you're older? How can we think about the future and take it along the present until we get there? So I have immediate goals with patients. I have midterm goals, long range goals, and then just like what can we do? And I have to say, I have a lot of retention. I've been in this practice for 21 years, and I have a lot of my patients, original patients, or patients who went somewhere else and came back. I just had a woman say, "Oh my God, I'm coming to your 21st anniversary." She goes, "I was there for your first and your second." She goes, "I went and I did other things." She goes, "And I never should have, and I should have just stayed with you." So that was really very sweet. And then I had someone in my office today say to me, "I'm waiting for you to age." I'm like, "Waiting? I've known 20 years. When am I going to come back and you're going to age?" And I said, I'm not doing it.
This is how it's going to be.
This is it. I want to be 80. I'll be 63. I'm, not bad for that, but why should I have to change? I don't want to change.
I love these women that are doing it like that. The Martha Stewart, I don't know if you see her photo shoot recently, on Sports Illustrated, I think it was. And I posted on my Facebook thing, and women go insane. Like I posted share. She looked the same when she was 23 as she does at 73. And the girls go crazy. They're like, "Oh my God, it's she had her thing done, and the other thing, she had plastic surgery, and and I'm like, well, I'm sure there's some of that, but still,
big deal.
She looks stunning. She's fit. She's not obese like most of the country is. Like even that is an accomplishment today. Just don't get obese. Right. Keep your BMI under a certain point. So I would love for you to be like a superstar as we get through this process. And Dr. Kirk, I wanted to see him get to 100, because I think like the oldest doctor in the country today is like 101 or something. Wow. Working 100, a working doctor, but he's in his 90s already, and I'd love to see him get there. He looks like he's got it all together. He works. When I went to see him, he was working out. It's exercising.
Right. Well, I think I've told you the story, but the village in Japan, it's called the Village of Long Life. These people have 10% more people over the age of 85 than any city in the US. That is just incredible. And it's not just that they live longer lives, they live younger, healthier, active lives. And it might surprise you to know that their hyaluronic acid levels have never dropped. So ours start to drop at their diet is very rich in hyaluronic acid foods. That's not the only reason. Once you consume hyaluronic acid, it helps to make more hyaluronic acid in your body. But for the most part, that's really what sets them apart, is that their food, they live on the side of a mountain, and they can't do traditional rice that other people within Japan would do. And so they have these sticky vegetables that grow on the side of the mountain, and they're high in hyaluronic acid. So,
well, there are some of these blue zones around the world, and They all found their way to the same place from different ways. Like some of these places are in the mountains, so they can't really grow anything, so they eat like, lamb, but they have like water that might come down the mountain from like a waterfall that's all like milky white because it's got so many minerals in there. So there's always something.
Yes.
And I'm just saying, if we find people like
what the bottom line is, those people are examples that it can happen.
Yes,
if it can happen to them, it can happen to you. Somebody could win the lottery, so can you. You have to be in it to win it. Do something about it.
Well, so I mean, like, why all these brilliant people, all these scientists writing their PhDs, why nobody ever came up with this this way of, like, there are already groups of people. I mean, some have the Weston Price Foundation, the Blue Zones guy that wrote the book Blue Zones. He went around the world researching. So there's a few people that actually did this kind of work, but it never caught the enthusiasm of the general public around the world.
That's because Big Pharma was not behind it. If Big Pharma was behind it,
yeah,
problem solved. I mean, all the drugs, Alex, all started out as natural things. Aspirin is willow bark. There was no problem taking willow bark. People got healthy, what they needed to do with it. They didn't take aspirin and then have to have bleeding ulcers and then take, all these other medications to stop the problems that they do. So, I told you about the Mariva that I take. So Advil and Motrin are considered, the class of drug is called the COX-2 inhibitor. So is the Mariva, which is an all-natural plant from India. But it does, because it's not made by a pharmacy and it's taken out of the ground, it's healthy. Why would I take something that's going to make me unhealthy and harm my joints? So I don't know if people know, but the end run of COX-2 inhibitors, they stop production of prostaglandins. Prostaglandins stop production of hyaluronic acid. So you're taking a drug to help with your knee pain, let's say, your knee discomfort. And so you're taking away your pain because it is going to help relieve some of your pain, but it's destroying your joint. Now your brain thinks, oh, well, I feel better, so I'm going to keep working out on that and destroy it even further. So you're going to take more Advil and more Motrin, and it's just a vicious cycle of Big Pharma inducing us.
This is the Thorn product. That's the one you told me about?
Well, it's a spice in India, but no, it's in the U.S.
Okay. It's just the spice, or it's a supplement?
Well, it's a supplement, but it comes from curcumin and turmeric.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All natural. I mean, it's cancer. It's such a natural anti-inflammatory that it's also a cancer prevention as well. So that's what I take every day. I take my liquid collagen, hyaluronic acid, and Mariva, and I'm good.
Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to bottle your philosophy and expand it around the country. And we have time, and I have the desire and the passion, and so we'll work.
Anything that we come up with. We were talking to Dr. Daniel Roberts about the glutathione. I went back to the board of my company that I'm on, and I said, okay, I need you to go and see how we can manufacture glutathione. And like, what? I said, yes, you are. They're always saying, because we have our board meetings like every other month, and like, if you come up with anything, if you hear of anything, and I'm like, okay, this is the most potent antioxidant in our bodies, in our world. Do something, make that. And they're like, okay, we're gonna look into that. So we'll see.
Well, very good. Well, Kelly, listen, I want to thank you so much for doing this with me. You're a true friend, and I appreciate you so much. I want to wish you a very happy Mother's Day. You are the embodiment of wonderful moms out there, and happy 21st anniversary on your center. Just an amazing accomplishment, and you're such a beautiful soul. I wish, and I'm going to do my best to have more people find you, because I think that you can transform their world, and you can do it like from the bottom of your heart.
Yes, it does. It really does come from the bottom of my heart. But thank you. I appreciate that. And I love you from the bottom of my heart. It's like a brother. Seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Love you, buddy.
God bless.